Oh, hey, all right, we might be live. Hold on, just checking in to make sure that we are up and running. Checking in. I'm not showing that we're live quite yet, so double checking. Give me a hot second here. Let's go to my channel and see if I can catch the feed. 8 for you. I think we're live. Doing a mic check. Think
check, check,
live.
Check, check,
Doing
check.
a mic check. Think
Check, 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 check.
Mic check. Think
Check, 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 check,
Alright,
check,
that's
check.
mic check. Think
Check, 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 check,
Alright,
check,
that's
check.
mic check. All right, that does seem better. Okay, cool. Let's drop that sound down so it's out of the way. I'm going to grab my link here real quick and do some social media updates. Hey, we're starting later than usual. I had my alarm misfired this morning, so I didn't wake up when I normally would. So I just decided to dive into my day job and then just float around and do an atypical Monday lunch stream. So normally I stream art Monday through Fridays in the morning for a couple hours, and then I go to my day job. But I'm having a weird day today, so instead I'm doing a lunch shift. We're going to be doing game design later on tonight, as well as Thursday night. We also do game design on Tuesday and Friday lunches. So it's just an odd day. Hey, welcome to it. My name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish them online. And we're currently creating an adventure for the Eberron campaign setting in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition using the new 2024 mechanics. You can see it here on screen. It's called Crystals of Mabar. It's for characters levels 7 and 8. You're basically fighting necromancers, undead, and demons in the Carnwood of Carnath on the continent of Corvair. And so if you think this stuff is cool, I stream art Monday through Friday in the mornings, and then I do 4 different game design streams during the week. So be welcome to stick around. Hey, Hornetico, it's good to see you, my guy. Just to wrap up the intro, if you think this stuff is cool, we have new subscribers. Thanks a lot, guys. Subscribe, hit the bell icon for notification of when we're live in the future. Here's a bunch of books I've made on the DMsGuild already. They all have extensive free previews. Be welcome to check out the content. If you think it's cool and you want to change how your games run, be welcome to jump in. I made this book cover around episode 40. The entire playlist of all 520 episodes of creating this adventure are here in the playlist. And let me just drop this down out of the way so it is out of the way, and then we'll get started. So for those that aren't indoctrinated, welcome to the mix. Getting rid of the reference layer and adding in the text here. This is obviously the picture isn't properly framed, but this is going to basically be the space that we have reserved for this painting when we're done with it. It uses the 16 by, we're making full use of the 16 by 9 space that most digital devices offer us these days. So if you're full screening with YouTube here with me, you'll see that in the horizontal space, this fills the document, makes it really easy to use, like on tablets and stuff, or on just a normal broad screen monitor that everyone uses now. Each individual column is also a 16 by 9 format when you hold it vertically. So once this thing publishes, you'll be able to look at a full page one at a time, or you can look at each individual column one at a time, depending on how large of a device that you're using. 12-point font is the base text body, so it's a lot of high visibility, but I can still put a lot of information on one page and leave a lot of room for illustrations, maps, etc., blah, blah, blah. So that's the setup that we're using right now. Having this as a standalone piece, we're going to disable the layer mask. We're going to hide the text, because we're just building it out as an illustration. And when we're done, we'll resize it to fit inside the frame that we actually have for it. This is going to let us have basically more detail for us to be able to basically just lay into while we're building the thing and then backing out when we're done. So right now we're I think I've probably blathered on enough at this point. So I am going through the process of adding details adding detail to the structure. Basically just texture and basically decals, for lack of a better word, just aesthetic stuff. The structure of, the full structure of the thing is done. Now we're just trying to get the flats of this up to speed with higher detail, so it matches the level of detail that we have in the rest of the illustration. So that's the process that we're going through. I'll be doing this I've got a 20-minute timer going, so we've got about maybe an hour and a half or so that we can play this morning. We'll see how far in we can get, what kind of ideas we can come up with, and we'll just sally forth from there, see where we end up landing. Highlights there and there and there. It's detail architecture work, which is like hard lines and straight edges and stuff. I'm not well known for my precise architecture or my line work. I work in a much more organic means that makes like Bob Ross style painting for my landscapes really easy for me to duplicate. But architecture and engineering and stuff like that is a definite weak point in my illustration style. And so this is an opportunity for me to try to push myself on making good-looking buildings. Ironically, or perhaps suitably, the next book that we're going to build after this one is the Bastion campaigns that we had been developing a couple months back here on stream. I'm comfortable with moving forward with that book into production. I've been utilizing the mechanics in that system in my homebrew campaign for nearly a year now. So I'm really satisfied with the progressive style of play that we've created with that Bastion campaign concept. And I want to move on to publication with that, but it is bastions, which is buildings, facilities, and structure. So just like when we did the Spelljammer book, I am anticipating a lot of architectural artwork in the piece. Killing myself over here. But as to say, I am anticipating an opportunity for me to up my game on structures and architecture in general, because I suspect the Bastion campaign book that we publish is going to basically be looking for a lot of that type of material. So long story short, too late. The next book that we're going to do is going to be pushing me artistically into developing my ability to improve buildings and structures. Did I say that clumsily enough? I could probably go back and say it worse. So let me know. Right now I'm being just really nitpicky on these lines here. No particular reason other than just obsession. Let's do that. Feels a little better. Drop it here. Yeah, good. That feels better. Stupid little line. It's insignificant, but if my eye catches sight of it and it doesn't look fantastic, then that's like, you need to work on that. That could be more fantastic. So that's kind of how I just kind of bounce around, and whatever grabs my eye at the moment is the largest point of contention that needs to be resolved, essentially. So right now I'm just kind of picking at the shadow work here, but what I really need to do is make a decision, because when we're done with all this, see all this stuff, we'll be able to just mirror this onto the other side of the piece over here. It's just symmetrical. There's no reason for us to there's no intense lighting anywhere other than what might be created by the structure itself. and that's consistent. So I can get away with doing a mirror, and then like the windows and stuff like that can have some diversity and like what's going on in the windows, like a murder in one, and I don't know, mixing potions in another. Who knows? We'll figure it out. Sense of scale, I'm thinking this is 20 feet. So technically, like we have like a separation of one floor to the next here. Actually, come along in here, and it's not that far off, in all honesty. If I just keep doing small little details and additional points, just increasing the amount of information density in the area, it should eventually look good. That's kind of how these things work, is that you just keep layering on stuff until it looks good, you know? Let's do that, and then let's go with 3 transform, and then we'll do skew. Transform selection. Skew. There. I'm going to be doing a lot of whinging and like snuffling things around. Because that's kind of how this sort of thing goes at this stage. There we go. Paste, drop that down, see the angle changes, so we have to change with the angle. Luckily, I've got this shrubbery, this tree line breaking the line of sight, so that I don't have to work on the full architecture. Just got to get the top row right, and then I can infer a lot on the lower levels without having to go into such levels of detail. But it's easy for us just to add in these additional layers, and as we keep proceeding through the process, we'll end up with something, God willing, it looks okay. I'm not liking this window array thing that we've got going on right here now, though. So I think I want to come through, and I want to cover those up. I could probably come up with a cooler idea than that. Let's just cover all that over. That. There we go. I've been at this long enough that I've got a pretty high rate of success with illustrations. It's just a matter of like once the composition feels pretty good, normally it's just a matter of doing detail work, and there can be variables of success in there, but at this point, this painting can't be a failure at this point. It just can't. It's good enough that at this point, it's just how much time and attention am I willing to put into it for it to look really good. And that's just going to be up to the muse that kind of runs my inspiration on these pieces. And when she says you're done, you're done. At the same time, she won't let it go if she's not content. So I don't know how long she's going to have me whinge on it. It's not my job to worry about that. I'm just here to push the pixels and to make the thing manifest on page So over time, it'll finish. So basically, that's to say, I'm pretty confident this is going to end up at least okay, good enough. You know, sometimes, like they say, great painters, they don't finish paintings, they just give up on them being perfect. Eventually, I'll just quit. It's like, this has gotten as far as it's going to get. Let's just go ahead and put it in the tin and move on to the next piece. And then we do. And then we just keep moving through the document, looking for the biggest piece of real estate on the page that needs to be filled. And then we fill it, and then we go to the next page, and we just keep filling in gaps in the document until it's been until it's finally finished. And we'll eventually be getting down like in the little wingy, like little 2-inch spaces. Like, do I need to put something here, or is there like a texture I can do or something? At some point, that's where we're going to be with this, stopping with these large scenes and getting into like really small nitty-gritty bits. So I'm looking forward to getting to that point, but we haven't earned it yet. So we just got to keep mashing through this larger scale stuff until we get there. Hey, what's going on, Deficit? Defected Gaming. I came for the art. I stayed for the perfection. Right on, dude. Happy to have you, man. Happy to have you. We're going to be back on tonight. We do a Monday night game stream where we're designing new games. Right now, we've been focusing, of course, on Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. That's my passion. I love 5e. I loved 3e, but 5e has not the same depth of mechanical customization that you could have with 3e, but 5e gives you a lot of tools that you can play with and make different types of games with it, and I love that they all rest inside that 5e flagship, that you can do all sorts of variant options to how you run your game by adding on additional subsystem mechanics. So we've been working on the Strixhaven Mage Tower. What's the word? Sport. That's the Strixhaven sport called Mage Tower. That's been our focus this week. And we're getting to the point where we're looking at ban lists for spells you can't use during competitive matches, like you can't disintegrate people, for instance. That's a reasonable rule. So if you're just running PvP matches because you want to run a PvP game, the Mage Tower mechanics should be really fun for just like a zero death combat combat scenario. Like, people always talk about, like, how do you make combat more interesting? Well, this is in this specific scenario as a sport, your goal is to score points by hitting a goalpost, basically, with a projectile, or not a projectile, but a thrown or kicked weapon, which is your mascot ball. So that is your weapon that you're attacking the goal, and when you hit the goal and deal damage to it, you score a point. And whoever accumulates more points quicker ends up winning the match over the rival team. But it's bound by actual game rules that are very finite. So, like, in this scenario, like, if you're playing Mage Tower, you don't really need a DM. Everyone can build an athlete as a player character of an equal level and have actual matches of basically rugby, using the 5e game mechanics to play rugby with what's legal and what isn't legal for your characters to do in game. And so if you have disintegration, you can't use it. And instead of like having fouls for, you shouldn't have used that spell, you're not going to draw a foul. If it was part of an ongoing campaign, you could do that if that's how you wanted to implement it. The ban list is basically you can't use using this selection of spells is not legal in this match. If it's just a standalone where you're just running PvP, like quote unquote out of character, then you just use you just avoid the ban list. But if you're actually part of like an ongoing campaign, your adventure, quote unquote, might be about dealing with like a murder that happened on the battlefield, or like maybe you challenge a rival team, like maybe you challenge rivals to a match of Mage Tower, specifically because you want to kill them on the battlefield. Like there's instances as an ongoing, like an actual campaign, where you would value having access to the banned list, because your characters. Like my sorcerer is not just going to stop having Disintegrate prepared because I'm playing this game. It's like, no, you've got that spell, it's just not useful to you right now. Like Comprehend Languages as a prepared spell isn't going to be very useful during a match of Mage Tower, but if you're part of an ongoing campaign, that's just how it is. But if you're doing a standalone challenge or like a side quest or a side game, not quest, just a side game for the players to enjoy, then you can build characters that are specialized as athletes, that all they do is Mage Tower, so they don't have any banned spells. All the stuff that they do is legal, and as long as everyone's operating within the confines of the rules, you don't need a DM, because the narrative, like it was Rick and Morty that said it best. Sports is the opposite of narrative. There is no story in sports. It's just the drama is in what actually happens, of how you actually succeed. There is no narrative that goes along with it. Sports is just what's the results of what you tried to do. Were you successful? Yes or no? How successful were you? Point value ensues. Statistics. That's what sports is. So I guess having a referee would be nice, but I don't think it's necessary. Like if the DM wants to, like if you have like 3 players and then the DM is there, that's 4 people, and like you're missing 1 or 2 people that session, and he's like, well, we got together, we don't want to have to cancel game. We could play a match of Mage Tower, and ideally the match would take like 40 minutes to an hour per game. That's what we're going for. We're gonna have to play test it to see if that efficiency is accurate. But considering the way that we've been structuring it, it feels like it should work. So we're going to continue with that project this evening. We're working on the ban list for spellcasters, and then we're going to go through the ban list for feats and for martial powers that we've been developing on stream as well. So if you are interested in that kind of stuff, you are heartily welcome to like, subscribe, stick around, and I'll be back in... typically I start around 6 o'clock. That's 6 hours from now. We'll be back on to continue developing Mage Tower rules. And once we get through the ban list, we'll have everything that we need in place to build sample athletes and start basically white room armchair designing, like what makes a good athlete in different classes, and build those out to see if we can play test it and have fun. So ideally players would get together and it's like, let's make a team, like let's make a Silver Quill Mage Tower team, and then build all their characters around the tenets of white and black mana, and then build any kind of character they want from the 14 that are available, including the Scion, of course. And just build your characters and then see, are they good athletes? Will they beat another team of similar athletes that are there to win the game? So the DM could either run a full team, PvP, like PvE style, like you normally would in D&D, like but the combat in this match isn't about killing your enemy. Again, it's just about winning the game, and outside of an actual campaign experience, there's no real need to worry about what's the ramifications or results of winning or not. Maybe if you're running a Mage Tower campaign, you could literally have only combat in the arena as a sport where there's 0 chance of death. And then outside of the arena, that's where your social and exploration encounters occur, where you're finding out facts and, like, I don't know, maybe you're part of a Mage Tower team that goes across the nation to, perform matches, and while you're in town, you take on investigation, I don't know, like you do private investigation work or something, whatever crazy ideas, or like maybe you're all zealots of the same god and so you're doing like you're doing pilgrimage work or something. Who knows? You could build a campaign out of it. You could, and we'll probably spend some time talking about that when we get to actually building this thing out to be a supplement. But for now, we have to play test it and see if it's even fun. I'll put it out there no matter what, whether or not it's a fun system or not. But if the players that are actually participating are having fun to the point like where they want to do it again, then we might have a viable product that would be a means for us to be able to actually like live streaming events that aren't about role playing and people, clumsily trying to figure out what the narrative plot is or solving a trap or something. Instead, just focus on, hey, here's today's match. It's the Silver Quill Inkblots versus the Witherbloom Pests, and then it's like a 3v3 team. So you've got 6 players at the table, and then you got the DM as a referee. And we would just run matches and see who wins, and do maybe like best of 3 or something like that. That's an idea anyway. That's kind of where I'm thinking this could go. So I'm liking this curve that we put into here. Feels pretty good. I like the foreshortening on it. Now that aligns with these little outcroppings that we have. Banisters, balconies. These balconies that we have here, obviously they're going to be really large. It's significant in size, but the structure is the same. This week, the playtesters in our Martial Powers Mega Dungeon, the team is currently sieging a phase spider nest. There is a large colony of phase spiders in my world. Phase spiders are kind of a collective race. They aren't just solo hunters. They work in packs like wolves, and they found a lair of a particularly large nest of phase spiders that have been hunting them inside of the dungeon. When they're going through a dungeon, we always keep initiative. You're always in initiative, and it's always basically at the rate of combat, unless they're dropping to if they're going to search a room for traps or something like that, or if they want to harvest magical components from creatures that they killed or something. Then we'll slow the game down to each round or each turn that you take with your character is a minute. But otherwise, we're always operating inside combat speed of 6-second rounds. And whatever movement you can make, go ahead and move through the dungeon, and move at half speed if you don't want disadvantage on your stealth check, and all the technical rules that go on with exploration combined in combat initiative order for 5e. And so every turn, you roll your initiative, so that's the initiative that you're going to stay inside of. And then when you drop out of combat, we'll re-roll initiative just to scuttle the crew. But while we're going through the process of exploring the dungeon, every round, basically all the characters go, and then the DM makes a die roll to see if oops, I dropped my mouse. Hold on. Hold on, I'm making a mess down here. Come here. Okay, everything's in order. There's that. I feel like my shit got janked. Hold on real quick. Okay, there we go. So every round, at the end of the round, the DM rolls a random encounter check, and it's basically a a d6 that I'll roll. So the first round, it's a 1-on-6, and the next round is a 2-on-6, and then the next round is a 3-on-6, then 4-on-6, and eventually you're going to get an encounter. It's just a matter of how soon am I going to roll it. And then I'll roll initiative for that monster inserts itself in the next turn. So at the end of the round, I roll to see if there's an encounter, and if there is, I'll drop in the initiative, and wherever that's at in comparison to the rest of the characters will start to move and take actions, and then whenever the initiative count comes up for the monster, that's when they ambush, or that's when they hit, or if they're not quiet, you'll hear them coming. Like whatever the encounter range and distance is, depending on what the creature is at and where they're at in the adventure. So while they've been going through this dungeon as of late, they've been targeted repeatedly by face spiders that will drop in from the ethereal plane and attack them and try to poison them, to paralyze them, to drag them away to their nightmare lair. And they've been able to fend them off so far, but they've found the lair. It has a physical location in the dungeon, and they've delved into it at this point, and they've started basically what happens is, while you're as a lair action, all the face spiders that are in the lair, as long as the anywhere inside, like the whole layer is covered in webbing. It's huge. It's like a 300. It's like the size of a football field or so. That's basically the area that they're exploring. And while they're in that area, anywhere that there's webbing on the ground and the walls and stuff, phase spiders can drop in and out of the ethereal plane, not once per round as a bonus action, but instead in as part of an attack, like an object interaction. They can drop. It's called flicker pounce. They can drop in, make an attack. If they hit, they can teleport out or plane shift back out into the ethereal plane. If they miss the attack, they don't get to automatically jump back out again. They're stuck there until the end of the round. So if they hit you, they disappear, and you can't attack. You have to hold your action to attack them. If they attack and they miss, they're stuck there for the rest of the round. So then the team gets to do a rotation through until it comes back around to their turn again. They can attack again and then disappear. So the team is working on surviving these flicker pounce ambushes while they're going through the lair. They're finding the bodies of previous victims that once they dig them out of their webbing, they may or may not have loot on them to claim for treasure for themselves, because spiders generally don't care about equipment. So if a victim dies with equipment on them, it tends to stay on them. So they found a number of gems and jewels and stuff on these on the victims of the spiders. But yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. They're probably they'll probably finish going through the lair on. We typically run Mega Dungeon on Saturday mornings. They should be able to complete. Should be able to complete that this weekend. And there's also a Myconid colony that's been attempting to overrun the dungeon. That's basically been a thorn in the player's side. So once they get done with the phase spiders, they should be able to go through and clear out the Myconids. And then there's going to be a severe drop into deeper into the Underdark. And they know that there's a Lithid in here someplace. They've already fought one Lithid, and they survived. They dumped all their resources into getting rid of just one of them. It had Umber Hulk slaves with it, so it was a formidable challenge. But they were able to pick it off. But they know that there's a Lithid somewhere on the scene that they're going to have to be aware of. And the further down they delve, the more likely it is that they're going to run across them more. Naturally, because a Lithid are a higher CR than phase spiders are, so it only makes sense that as you delve deeper, you hit higher levels stuff. We are already establishing what those higher level threats are. They've already ran across a minor Dracolich. They're anticipating potentially having to deal with more things like that. They've dealt with a number of incorporeal undead so far, along with the phase spiders, now the Myconid colony. There's a lot of shenanigans for them to be concerned about. So we'll see how they end up deciding to resolve all that stuff. It should be fun, but it's been really fun. I think Mega Dungeons are a really fun way to playtest content in general. I'm a big fan of it. kind of like that. Kind of don't though. Kind of don't have a choice. Let's go back. Let's just do that. Okay, that's gonna work. See, adding in lighting layers like this, these different lighting effects and shadow and structure, it cheats a lot. Like you can cheat in a lot of detail without actually having to do a lot of work. By just using good lighting, it's a cheat code, basically. That's what we're talking about right now. I'm gonna take this and push it out like that. Let's do that. That's my 20-minute timer. Let's keep it going. What time is it? Yeah, it's been 20 minutes. We're doing great. The whole reason we created martial powers in the first place was for Strixhaven, because the way that the Strixhaven campaign is designed is that Strixhaven is a magic academy, and the way that it's described is that spellcasters go there to learn magic, like to add spells to their spell book for a wizard, or how to commune with their spirits or god. For the case of druids, rangers, clerics. But the only reason why a martial would go to Strixhaven is to become educated on how spellcasters work. Like mage slayers, for instance, would potentially value going to Strixhaven, not to become spellcasters themselves, but to learn how to kill them. And that feels like that's a huge lost opportunity. So developing the martial power system, it creates a means for us to have all 14 character classes, including the Scion, of course, all 14 types of characters to have a mana pool, spell points, mana pool. And to be able to, and so going to Strixhaven is about learning how to use your mana, how to channel your mana either into spellcasting or wielding power. Because martials use martial powers while spellcasters cast spells. Logical enough. But that's the great divide. We are closing the distance of the great divide between martials and casters by giving martials the same amount of optimization and option selection on a prepared base to spend their mana on, instead of having like one feat to choose from every 4 levels and a subclass every 3 to 5 levels. Like those are the only options that the martial gets. Meanwhile, the spellcaster gets those options, plus they have this massive system of 25 basically magical feats that they can prepare, sometimes on a daily basis, depending on what type of a spellcaster you are. And it's the divide between marshals and casters isn't necessarily the power or the amount of effective battlefield control that they have. Because Trentmonk did a video recently demonstrating how a bunch of champion archers can just basically shred any team of spellcasters just by having 6 longbow attacks per round that can just absolutely just melt hit point pools. And in a PvP scenario, the characters are not optimized to fight against each other. They're optimized to fight against monsters. So when you start doing PvP stuff involving hit point pools, it's difficult for full casters just to stay alive long enough to have a big difference. So that's a really interesting point that you can't it really is like comparing apples to oranges when you're looking at like what's balanced in a class. But what you can measure is just the amount of options that you have to pick for your character on a daily basis to express how they adventure. And spellcasters absolutely have the advantage over marshals in that sense, because marshals only change basically they only have a decision basically every between feats and subclasses. I mean, once you pick your subclass, you're done at 3rd level. You're going to get an assigned list of things that you get, unless you happen to have a subclass that offers options. Like the ranger or hunter could pick evasion or advantage on sneak attack or advantage on stealth or whatever. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're balanced options, but some subclasses give you an array of options to choose from, while others don't. So essentially, once your subclass is chosen, you either have one choice to make every 4 levels, or you have a choice to make effectively every 2 or 3 levels, because your subclass has options. While again, the spellcasters always have options on what do they want to pick to customize their options to coincide with the challenges you anticipate facing on your current adventure. That's the real strength that spellcasters, that's the real divide, is that spellcasters to different degrees can actually customize how they help the team on an adventure to adventure basis, while marshals are static and unchanging. And you should hope that the DM is building the adventure around what your martial characters can deal with. Otherwise, it's going to feel off. The martial players might feel neglected or burned, and then you got this whole issue going on with did I do a good adventure design or not? What went wrong? Nothing went wrong. It's just marshals and casters aren't built to work the same way. So the martial power system offers that breadth of options without necessarily increasing their power, the type of damage they can do. Like just being an archer with 6 attacks per round with long range could just be the optimal, because you don't have to use any mana to do that. It's reliable damage output. You could just do that and have the same level of effectiveness that Trentmonk had demonstrated in his video from last week of his playtest of archers versus organic builds. But that's not the point. I mean, you could go the optimal damage route if that is your priority as a player, but by offering all of these other optional power systems, you can diversify what your character can do, even though it might not be more effective or more efficient than what an out-of-the-box character could do. It's not worse. It's not necessarily better either, which to me means good balance, good game design. So all the playtesting that we've been doing is tweaking how much advantage do you get from choosing this option? At what point does an option become a must pick because it's so good that it's I'm stupid for not taking this thing because it gives me such an obvious statistical or mechanical advantage? We're trying to kill as many of those obvious pick-me's as possible so that the choices that you make is just a matter of style, not optimization. So it's just to be able to properly customize your characters to do what you want them to do without having to worry about was this a good, quote unquote, good choice or not. We want them to all be good choices, but is it the choice that you want to make with your character right now? And that's the same action, that's the same decision loop that casters make when they choose their spell selection. We want to give you that same range of spell selection options. And so far, we've been succeeding. So I'm really, really happy about that. So anyway, the Mage Tower was the point of making the martial power system so that all 14 character classes have a reason to attend Strixhaven, not just to learn how to fight spellcasters. No, it becomes, instead of learning how to cast spells and learn spells in Strixhaven Academy, instead your characters are there to learn how to control your mana pool. Whether you're a spellcaster, a martial, or a hybrid of both, like multi-classing. All of them use mana. So all of them have a reason to attend Strixhaven to learn how to control their mana better. So that's the dream. And then it just happens that they had this cool sport called Mage Tower. And it's like, well, came up with the idea of having like sports scholarships, right? Like, come to our academy, we want you to play Mage Tower, and we're going to pay for your tuition here while you do, for instance. Hey, what's up? My favorite description of the 5e fighter is Jim Davis from WebDM, who said, fighter inflicts the best monster status effect, death, very quickly. Ah, nice. Yes, fighter is very efficient at creating the death condition for monsters and NPCs, absolutely. But D&D is becoming less and less about combat. So we want to be able to offer options to martial characters outside of just hitting stuff, because the game's evolving away from hitting stuff more and more. Whether I like it or not doesn't really matter. Let's see. Again, here, more details. So we're just adding layers of detail here. Once I get this lighting done for these banisters, we'll then be able to go and add like a brick texture, like little seams in the masonry for building up this structure. So right now we're just working on the lighting, and then depending on how light or dark the lighting is will depend on what kind of coloring we use for the brickwork that we'll end up doing. So it's just a matter of, with this, it's just a matter of layering detail and then zooming in to a smaller and smaller scale to add in more and more detail. And at a certain point, it's gonna feel done. It's like, yeah, that's a good, a good balance of texture and detail and line structure will end up making it just feel good. And once we get to that point, we're done with the piece. And then we just move on to the next one and do the same thing again. That up a bit. Darken it up a bit. Here. Yeah, it feels pretty good. Zoom into the groove. Nice. A little less pronounced curve there. There we go. Like even just like a Celtic knock pattern along the railings here would like add in a good level of detail that we wouldn't really have to worry about diving much deeper with. That sits pretty nicely for now. Like we could, just as a spot check real quick, we could duplicate the layer, free transform, flip horizontal, this all fleshed out in here. There, see? We successfully mirrored it. So I don't have to worry about both sides. All I need to do is worry about one side, and then we can flip the symmetry over so it duplicates on both sides. But this is adding a lot more. Like this is starting to look like it belongs to the rest of the piece. So this is coming along really successfully. Let's undo all this. There. Okay, back at it. So what's the next point of layers I'm going to put in here? Atur base. And then here I want to add in structure. Now I think I want to mess around with the piping here. Right now I'm using it's a round brush. I'm just in Photoshop, if you click a dot and then hold down the shift key and then click another dot, it creates a line between those 2 points. It's a little off right now, but if I do it well, I can have a short enough line that even though it's made like a 360 degree circle, like a circle is just basically 360 straight lines that are super small, but they're straight points. So if you pixelate it, it becomes just a bunch of straight lines in a circle. The circle itself is 360 tiny sized straight lines that form a circle because your eye loses resolution. But if you were to zoom in close enough, you could see that the circle's just a shitload of little lines that are 1 degree difference in angle. So that's kind of what we're doing here with the dome, except like we can have like a 5 or 6 degree curve from line to line. I don't know exactly what the angle is. I'm having to suss that out manually, but just like everything else, if I do a good enough job, it'll end up looking right. It's just a matter of taking the time, to get it right. That. I'm doing two lighting layers. One layer is, I'm assuming, although it's probably not accurate to assume so, I'm assuming there's some sort of lighting effect coming off of this dome. I don't know why I'm getting that feeling. It's just the feeling that I get. We're actually using a reference that came from Casa Stereo, and let's see the text. Casa Stereo has been doing maps for Eberron for like 7 years at this point, and so on Patreon, it's Patreon/Casa Stereo, and then on Instagram, it's Casa Stereo 89. But this is a map of Atur, the city of Atur. But our only point of interest is Atur Academy here, which is what we're using as our base frame. And this is like, I think the only illustration of Atur Academy that we have, and I think Casa just kind of made it up. But since it's the most prominent option for like what does Atur look like, we're pretty much on uncharted territory here, so I have a lot of leeway to make it the way I want it to. I've got that artistic freedom. There's nothing for me to reference here, so I can just make it up. So it's pretty clear here that this top structure here is just a painted architecture, but I'm getting this idea of having some sort of a lighting effect coming off of it. So that might change, I guess. It could potentially change. But I'm really vibing on this idea of having like a low light coming out of the dome. So it's going to create these shadows on the exterior of the ribbing here because they're facing away from the dome. And then similar, like we have this rim lighting over here, I can add rim lighting along the edge here. Like that once we get to it. So we'll be able to again, Fantasy Illustrations is just rampant with just random light hitting things in different directions to basically highlight and draw attention to the different artifacts and armor bits and things that are going on with the characters or whatever, or scenes that are in an illustration. Like they purposefully use, to an extent, nonsense lighting specifically as part of the narrative of just being able to have eyes on what it is that you're looking at. Like to a certain point, realistic lighting isn't your objective. As an illustrator, your real objective is to, well, it could be to create a photorealistic scene, but you can't do a photorealistic scene of a dragon because they don't fucking exist. So at a certain point, you have to use artistic freedom, and the more freedom you gain from that latitude, you can also get wonky, like, where's my lighting come from? I want this to be more dramatic. So if I added in a purple light here somehow, that would help the contrast of the color spectrum to help increase the emotional hit of whatever it is that we're doing. It's like fantasy illustration has that kind of accepted concession that the lighting might not necessarily be accurate, but it's going to help increase the drama of the piece, to make it more evocative, more interesting, more compelling to look at. which is ultimately what you want to unleash the imagination of the viewer to think about what the hell's going on with this. Like, what's going on here? What are we falling in love with exactly with this piece? Like, that's the attitude that we want to take with this. So to a certain extent, you don't have to really worry about what's realistic lighting in a fantasy illustration, because you want to have lighting that makes sense. You want your, again, we talk about this a lot, you want your eye to be able to look at it and just say, yeah, that makes sense. I don't have to worry about it anymore, because if it doesn't, your eye's going to scrutinize it more and more. It's going to start finding flaws and picking holes, and that destroys your suspension of disbelief. So as long as your baseline physics are logical, that your eye can just hand wave, then so much more about your piece is going to also be accepted. So that you can get away with doing less and getting more. Like I was talking about, like putting a Celtic knot along the wall, right? Once we build that pattern, your eye will just kind of infer more detail into that pattern than there really is, especially if it's really small. Like, your eye's just going to be lazy. It's like, I don't want to render all those details. Let's just assume it makes sense. And then you just kind of skip over it. And the more you can get the eye to do that, the more you can get away with less work. Again, just reiterating the same point. See, the resolution, see, when I pull back, that curve doesn't look too bad. When I get closer, it gets sloppy. Now it's looking too thick. This is obnoxious level of like this. Like, again, if this was a tree, I'd just be able to breeze through it, because the organics allow me to have variance and sloppiness in my lines, because this is being organically grown. But when you're doing architecture like this, everything is intentionally manufactured into a specific load-bearing or symmetrical aesthetic that requires clean lines, and again, clean lines is my absolute worst strength. Like, that is my greatest weakness. So you get to watch me torture myself here for a little bit. Once I get this one figured out, the rest of them should be a lot easier, because I'll get the gist of how it goes, and then I'll be able to pick up and replicate. So the first one's always the sloppiest and most difficult. There. That doesn't look too bad though. I'm pretty happy with that. This one back here, I'm pretty good with that one. I'm gonna actually take this and expand this down here like that. Get that foreshortening there, good. Good. Are. get that curve right. Oops. Yeah, not bad. You don't see most art streams that do speed paints where they're basically like doing a playback and the speed is like 64 times faster than the actual rendering time. So it's like a 20-minute video, but it's actually like 1,200 minutes of actual art production while they're talking about whatever's going on in the background. But the mouse is like the stylus and the color selection and stuff is blurring so fast that you can't actually see what's going on. This is what's going on. This is all the bullshit that they don't have you sit through while they talk about whatever their topic of conversation is. Of course, we're doing it ass backwards, where we go super slow and do all the painstaking work here with you live on screen, and then I just ramble about a subject forever. So instead of one specific topic and then a 20-hour painting sped up to a 15 or 20-minute blur, that creates a false narrative. Like that honestly, that makes people think I should be able to crack through and make artwork quickly. It's like, no, you need to recognize that their camera is moving super fast because they're speeding up the production time. They're doing the exact same thing that I'm doing here now, except that they're not sharing the pain. Like, they're not going through this ugly, slow process of me fucking with this curve for 15 minutes. Like, they would say that's not good content, and I can see that argument. I don't necessarily think this is great content here, but maybe you stick around. Like, I specifically want to show the struggle. I want you to see how much fucking time it takes to build this stuff, because I don't think a lot of people have a clear understanding of just like how much shit goes into building these things. You just get to see the final product and say, yeah, that's good content, that's bad. Like, this is a good PDF, this is a bad PDF. I want to have, because my goal is to only make good PDFs, both in design and in art, and that takes a ridiculous amount of time. So I am literally taking all of that time and streaming it for reference, so that if anyone asks, yeah, this is the kind of level of bullshit you have to go through to make it an RPG. But also, it lets me talk about the thing for freaking ever, because I love my books. I would not spend this much time on building something if I didn't think it was super fun. And as can be attested on my Discord server, I like to playtest the hell out of stuff before I actually publish it. So I want to know it's going to actually improve the game, and that it feels the way that you want it to feel, and that it allows your game to do what you want it to do. I don't want a half-baked idea like maybe this works. Like, no, I want to be able to say this fucking works. I've ran a campaign with this. It's cool. You should use it. Here's what you can expect. Like, that's how I want to present material like this. And that all takes just a ridiculous amount of time. So luckily, this isn't my day job. This is just stuff that I do for fun. This is my hobby's hobby. There. That. There we go. Together. Good. Nice. That angle worked out really nicely there. That was a really good one. I got to continue thinning this one down. Like that. There we go. That feels pretty good. Maybe I'm being overly meticulous, but I want to just make sure it's right, you know? Yeah, see, that looks so much better now. That looks so much more balanced. Very good. All right, cool. So that's good. We can let that. I'm sure I'll be pissed off about it in 15 minutes. I can already see a flaw. And we lost it. That's the thing about being art. Like the better an artist you are, the easier it is for. Again, your eye can just pick out the details. You can see like what another artist is doing. A lot of times you can understand the technique that the artist is doing to achieve it. But for people that aren't trained in art, they're like, wow, that's amazing, because they're overwhelmed by the levels of detail and precision that are used without being able to immediately discern the flaws that are built into the piece. But the more skilled you get as an artist, the faster it is that you can see what those flaws are, and you can have a more discerning eye. Like, is this a good piece or isn't it? But until you train your eye that way, a lot of art looks a lot better than it should. But you aren't trained to see the flaws. Good art directors, good designers, experienced artists can pick out those flaws a lot easier. And when they don't, when they see a flaw, but they see how it was solved as a problem, then you can find appreciation, and that was a good solution to that challenge. But I can still see there's skews in the perspective, but the layman that's looking at the piece might not catch it. It's just a matter of what's your training, how skilled have you got? Which is why initially an artist will be really proud of a piece, because they're still riding the crest of and the high of, I'm really happy about how certain pieces of this composition turned out. I'm really happy with it. And eventually they get over that pride of having accomplished it, and then they just get into the realism of, oh wait, there's a flaw, and there's a flaw, and there's a flaw, and there's a flaw, which is why so many artists don't like looking at their old work, or how they'll universally say It's like, yeah, if I go back and look at my old work, all I can see are mistakes. It's because they've become a stronger artist from when they completed that piece to where they are now. They've naturally just evolved their own awareness through time and craft, so that what wasn't evident to them initially becomes painfully obvious. And if you aren't as advanced in critiquing the art, you won't catch it yet. But eventually you will. You will see, oh yeah, you'll see the flaw. Art directors are really good at this because they're constantly looking at art of high quality. And they're able to discern, this was done well, this wasn't done well, I like this composition, I like this pose, I like this solution. They're looking at it from solutions. What solution did you come up with? I like that solution, good job. There we go. And then if we pan back, the flaws start to disappear, and it just looks fine. So now we can go on to the next layer, and we can do the same thing for this here. Too much. Like that. Excuse me for a second. I have to go check on something. There's a disturbance in the forest. No need to live stream out in assembly silence, you know? Yeah, Alderon's gone. Empire came up and just smoked all of Alderon, so cheers to that, I guess. Ever-changing world, man. Go. Something like that. No, too thick. What a pain in the ass, huh? This is why we artists get paid so much money. Because it's a highly specialized skill that we've trained ourselves to earn massive dollars. Artists are in such demand that the colleges you go to train for are worth $90,000 a year. Because, I mean, as soon as you graduate as an artist, you're going to be making like $300,000 a year, right? So, I mean, you can pay off that student loan to go to that art college like in no time. I mean, why bother going to like an 8 years worth of school to become a medical doctor for a paltry $250,000 when you can go to an art college for the same cost and same amount of time and end up earning 20 times the amount that a medical doctor would earn? I don't know why we don't have more artists out there that aren't taking this seriously. But obviously, if you haven't picked up on my sarcasm at this point, you are a very, very innocent soul. God bless you for existing. But I mean, seriously though, if we're talking AI, because AI is completely homogenized and cheapened the value of art as an endeavor, right? Like, why would you pay an artist? We can just have AI create the same thing of equal or possibly better quality. From a layman who has no decision-making ability in it at all, if you were going to commission some weeb to, hey, make my furry into an original character art, you may as well ask AI, because that's the same level of depth of understanding and control that you have. It's like, I have no idea how it's going to turn out. I'm going to give this guy some money to make to make my cat guy look cute or whatever, and I'll have maybe a little bit of control over it, but for the most part, I'm just kind of surrendering the artistic effort to the artist that I commissioned. That used to be how it is. Now it costs me like a $30 subscription to get access to Dolly or whatever. And I now have the same level of creative control as I had before, but now I get it instantly for a fraction of the cost. Like, why wouldn't most people be compelled by that? They never assumed they'd have any control over what the final image was anyway. And if they were going to go, wow, that's amazing, because they wouldn't have been able. When people say, wow, the art that you turned out with is amazing, what they're really saying is, I can't do that. I didn't know what my character would look like, but you made them aesthetically pleasing. Thank you. Yeah, that's basically it. So they get that from AI for virtually nothing. So naturally, the commoner is going to be like, yeah, this AI stuff is amazing, because the people that are building the AI have I would say virtually none of them, I would guess, have invested 15,000 hours of their life into getting good at art to realize what's going on with AI. Or worse, they do, but they feel robbed. So they embrace the AI to produce the results that they can't. And doctors will be the same way eventually. Everyone's laughing at or crying for the artists now, but soon the X-ray analysts the nutritionists, all these people, their apocalypse is coming too. But the cost of them going to school is astronomically higher than what most artists invested to get to where they're at with their art. Like seriously, you got to put like $300,000 of debt to become a medical doctor, and it's going to take you 30 years to pay off that loan. But AI could remove human diagnosis from medical issues in as little as like 6 years. And you've still got 24 years left of debt payment to go for that medical degree, which is now worthless because you're no longer needed as a lab tech. We don't need you to analyze potential cancer globs in an X-ray. The computer has a 99.6% accuracy rate. We're just going to go with what it just recommends when it just casually looks at it. Like, all those people, they're going to have their apocalypse, just like it's just artists came first. Just like everything else culturally, the artists lead the way. And in this case, it's cultural destruction. And again, the artists are leading the way because before you do something serious with technology, you want to do something frivolous with it. Just to be able to get the bugs out of it. So when you actually start doing something that's serious, people don't die. People aren't going to die if I fuck up this painting. But if I misdiagnose your cancer, totally different scale of issue. So this one's going a little bit faster than the other one did. The curve's a little bit more gentle, so it's easier to hit the points. Here comes a big shocker to anyone that's familiar with my channel that's been here for a while. I was hoping I'd have this piece done by tomorrow, but I don't think it's going to be. Does that sound familiar? There's technically no time pressure on this at all. Technically. But I can't start building another book until this one's done. I have Stuart Bros as my editor and Andy Healy, the old goat. He helped me co-write this, and they have stakes in this. So I'm obligated to get this thing fucking done. So I can clear my collaboration contract with them and get this thing resolved. And then I've got all sorts of books that I want to publish, and I don't have anyone that I'm beholden to about producing any of them. So I can just, after this book is completed, I've got like 6 other books that I want to publish that I am free to clear to work on however I want, whenever I want, to whatever degree I want. And I can bounce back and forth between them and build them in tandem with each other. Potentially release multiple books at the same time. Not have to worry about it. So I'm really looking forward to finishing this, but I don't technically have a specific deadline that I have to get this completed, like to meet my printing demand or whatever. It's just a PDF. It's just going to be published on DMsGuild when it's done. And when it's done, it's because it's good, because I'm happy with it and I'm proud to stick my name on it. and I want people to look at it until I get to the point where I want you to look at this. It's not done yet. So I'm going to take whatever time it takes for it to get to the point where I'm going to be proud for you to thumb through it. And if you happen to find a flaw, it's because I honestly missed it. And it's like, and at that point, I'm going to appreciate if anyone catches anything, because at that point, I've already given it my best go and I'm proud of the work. Now it just needs, you know, if it's going to get scrutinized, I can be mature about accepting that scrutiny and just updating the document to either understand why it isn't the way that the challenge, like why is it done X, Y, and Z instead of A, B, and C. I might have a very logical reason why I did X, Y, and Z instead of A, B, and C, but until the book is done, I don't know. I don't know what X, Y, and Z and A, B, and C are. So I just have to keep building. But once it's to the point where I feel it's done, then I'll be able to sign off on it happily and move on to the next thing. Again, you don't see this level of obnoxiousness. I suspect if I had a more traditional style of format to my channel, I'd certainly grow a lot more. Like if I spent a week building a 15-minute video essay with cool edits and animations and stuff about a particular idea that I'm whinging on that week, like I'd probably grow my audience quicker, but it would also require me to continue putting out clever videos with animations and stuff like that and to have another point to make when I might not have any. So I have to start fabricating points to have an opinion about. If I go about this method, if I go about doing it this way, I can do this forever. I mean, just the length of this particular illustration is proving that point. Ooh, this one's almost done. So close. Almost there. That's not bad. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. That's pretty good. There we go. Okay, now we can do the next one. Merge this one down. And we'll add on another layer so we can just keep stacking this shit up. Something like that. See, it's getting easier. How are we doing on time? It's been an hour and 20 minutes. So we'll probably be able to get this ribbing done and then call it a day. And we'll come back on in about 5 hours from now. We'll be back on working on the Strixhaven Mage Tower mechanics. We're getting there. See, that's how easy the central piece is. Non-issue. Other than potential thickness. Yep, I hear you. I suspect this is the last 20 minutes that we're going to need to complete this. There we go. Nope. Here. So far, so good. Just gotta work out this curve here. See, I've stopped philosophizing, and that's one of the risks of doing this Law and Order strain. I don't have a specific topic of conversation on my mind. I just jumped on to get more work done. And if a conversation brews up and I get to talk about something cool, then awesome. I get to talk about something cool, and the time flies by. But I have no particular agenda right now, so just pushing pixels. Just logging in time, getting the thing done. Ooh, but that's looking pretty good. Let's do that. And bring this down to thin up this central spike a little bit. Like that. Doesn't look too bad. Let's do that. Let's duplicate this. Free transform. Flip horizontal. All right, so obviously we've got a flaw somewhere here, so let's go about correcting that. Something went wrong. No, let's try that again real quick. Free transform. Flip horizontal. Let's slide this into place. This needs to be a little bit thicker, but otherwise it's pretty good. See, it's already looking better, just better. Like that. Take that back. There we go. There we go. There. It's a little fuzzy here at the base, but we're going to put rim lighting on there to help straighten out that edge, kind of like we did down here. And I'll just help lock that down. So far, so good. So what, you know? Let's keep trimming at this just a smidge. Too much. Ooh, man, what a pain in the ass, huh? I'm sliding in, I'm tilting my head. That's when you know I'm concentrating a lot. When I got my head tilting, you know I'm thinking too much. Probably be okay. Just about done for today. Still feeling a little thick. There. That should be good. I'm gonna hit save real quick before I collapse. Duplicate. Free transform. Flip horizontal. Slide into place. Way off place. There. Better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, that's gonna end up doing okay. So great. So I'm pretty happy with this piece. We're gonna come back tomorrow morning and continue grinding on this. And when we do, we're gonna start adding in brickwork and like little insets and filigree and details. And here we'll put in windows. I will do some rim lighting here and here for the light coming out of the windows. We got to figure out what's going on with the dome here. We'll probably add in some sort of like maybe like a stained glass texture of some sort into here, which we got practice with in a previous illustration in this project. Probably actually want to thicken this a little bit now that I'm actually looking at it. That was unexpected. No, that's not quite right. That's correct. Gator base, trash. I'm gonna put a lock on the base. I'm gonna put a lock on the mountains, and put a lock on the sky and the fog and the trees. So we're isolating exactly what it is that we're working on right now. And drop the trash layer down here to the bottom to get him out of the way. Skull cap here. One more layer. There. That feels pretty good. All right, we're going to leave that be for now. We're going to continue working on texturing. I'm going to put a brakes on this for now. Yeah, I'm just going to merge all this down. Merge. No regrets. No regrets. We can always paint over if we need to. But so far, so good. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add in stained glass effects onto the dome, curving upward. We're going to add in texture to the building, architecture here, here, and here. We're going to do window effects here, and then we'll figure out something to do with this. Once we figure out what's going on back here, we'll be able to mirror whatever it is that we have here. We'll be able to mirror that here. And then whatever we build here is irrelevant down here because this is not going to come through. But this is our priority right now, which will then replicate over here and then mirror over to here. And then we'll lay in all this, this, and this, which will then be able to obviously have mirrored over here. And then we'll work out here, 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 and here. So we have 1, 2, really 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. So we only have really 8 more components that we need to build on this, and we'll probably be able to call, and then we have the skull cap on top. Then we'll probably be able to call it done. So I'm going to go ahead and cut stream for now. Yeah, we've been at it for like an hour and 40 minutes, so this is a pretty good morning. Pretty good day. We're going to be back tomorrow, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed tomorrow in the morning to continue working on this. With God's grace, we'll be done by Thursday and moving on to the next piece. I'm still filling in maps and page layouts for like the page 16 through 70, so that's still coming along. But I'd say over half of it's done at this point. We're just continuing to layer things in. Everything is fitting. Miraculously, everything is still fitting into place the way that's supposed to, so we're making great gains on that. August, September is the hope for finishing this, and once we get done with these big pieces, we'll see how realistic that is, but September still feels realistic for us to finish, so I'm just going to plant that flag in the ground for now and just say September is our goal, like early September, and then we'll be able to move on to other pieces from there. I'm really excited. So, hey, thanks a lot for hanging out with me today, guys. I really appreciate you. And new subscribers, thanks a lot for being around. We'll be doing more game design in about 4.5 hours for the Strixhaven's Mage Tower combat mechanics. Yeah, and we're just going to keep carrying on from there. So, I'll see you guys later on tonight and tomorrow morning. Cheers.